I will call our meeting to order. And we will just start right at the top of the agenda. Which is the approval of the minutes. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes? We're talking about the meeting minutes of February 28th.
I have to abstain, I was not present.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 28th as presented.
I will second the motion. There being no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
2 ayes, 1 abstention. All right, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the reports from our subgroups. Just a reminder for those watching or who may watch later, the process we laid out was we set aside March and April to gather some public input. The goal is to take that public input and try to create some sort of synthesizing statement or document, this is my words, that we could use to guide the actual development of a master plan, a workable plan that actually can be utilized to make decisions regarding the impacted area. And then potentially to hire a consultant to actually help us develop that plan. So we divided into 3 groups. The first group, stakeholder input, is still taking stakeholder input across the parking lot. So I'll do a very brief summary of it because I attended both sessions. They were well attended. We think there was a total of close to 150 people between the 2 sessions. I heard almost universal praise for the process and people's gratitude for having a way to do the input. There were multiple stations. People were asked things from very specific, draw on this map where you think the boundaries ought to be, to very general, put anything you want us to know on this card, and lots of different stuff in between. We had a number of local businesses who donated food. We're going to get a separate thank you out to them, but for now we thank everybody who did that. And here come our other 2 members. So I've successfully drawn it out so they can join.
Sorry, I meant to bring the thank you cards. They're at the senior center.
And we'll go over as a group and take 1 second. Megan's done thank you cards to the businesses.
Fantastic.
So we're actually on item 3A of the agenda, and I just gave a very brief summary of how well attended the groups were. So you all, I figure we will take them, obviously you haven't had a real chance to digest anything in any significant way. And I was thinking ultimately we take the bulk of our April meeting to actually go through in detail your guys' summaries and the data that you gathered.
Yeah, I looked it over, but I did not begin synthesizing anything from Saturday.
Okay.
Other than some on demographics and noticing that we had as many children and teens as we did senior citizens, and that sort of a gap was young adults, but I saw more of them tonight. That's all I got to.
Okay. So well attended. Kudos to you guys. I was skeptical.
It's all hurt.
And I do think because of the format you used, that you guys will have some significant work just summarizing and compiling the data. Great work. I heard nothing but compliments on the way you set it up and people's participation. So do you have anything else you want to add tonight, or do you want to?
The only thing that I would add from the conversation from both for the stakeholder input, the intent, the email address obviously is borne fruit already. People have used it, but the attempt to mirror those stations in a survey tool, so people that didn't have the opportunity and wanted to be able to do all of the things that were there, I've got it organized in the questions and stuff organized in the same fashion. The only piece that I'm currently struggling with is how to recreate the mapping piece. So tell us how draw a circle around the map and tell us what your view of the center is, and be able to do that in a survey instrument. I have.
So there's interactive, did you look at the interactive mapping that I sent?
There is,
But you can't implement that within the
how it
survey?
fits, and I need to spend some time with it to make it make sense. But that,
Look at that too.
the hope is to have that done and back to everyone in the committee in a short period of time to be able to test pilot and look and then decide whether we want to launch it or not.
Okay.
That's the goal.
I have another slight update, is that hopefully we'll be doing the same thing at the high school. So depending on when we can get in there, hopefully we can get it all synthesized by the April meeting.
So when you do the high school one, will you be able to segregate that data so we know it came from high school students?
Yes, and that's what I did with the 7th grade too.
Okay. Okay.
And the 4-year-olds, I only did one thing with, so. But yes, good idea. And we're even separating out Saturday and Wednesday and then we'll put it all together, but yeah.
Okay. So I do think it's important that the committee as a group review and approve. If we're going to issue a survey, then
100%.
yeah, we do as a group.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we'll look forward to it. When you have it ready, we'll figure out how we'll do that. All right.
100%.
Good work.
Can I ask a question about that?
Of course.
So when it comes to the stakeholder groups, when you start synthesizing the data and the feedback, if there is a group that's missing, is now the time to then initiate outreach? Like, I'm thinking, one that comes to mind is our property owners in the center and our business owners. I think that should be a concerted outreach effort. And perhaps the questions they're asked are a little bit different from the workshop format. So just curious if there's any thought, or if that'll come later, like what the plan
I
is
have
for that.
a thought on that. So what I did with the businesses, and I didn't get to all of them just because time, but I went and I personally invited them and also said, and after the workshop, it'd be great if I can sit down with you and talk about your needs as a business and what you want to see from the town. So we did get quite a few business owners on Saturday. And then you're right, we definitely need that to be its own entity. But they all seem to like the idea of finding a time and going in and talking with them. Because I don't think we're lucky we got them. They're always busy, right? Working. So yes, I agree. And I agree that the questions are going to look different and maybe be a little more driven by them in terms of what they want us to know.
The opportunity to exist, that we distill the information from the stakeholder groups, clearly identify who wasn't represented in the people that attended either on Saturday or Wednesday. A couple property owners, faith-based community, people that like, okay, we didn't hit these people, and let's intentionally seek them out to ensure that whatever gets shipped to whoever's developing the plant has all of it packaged up and in as much as possible that we didn't leave a rock unturned. So
Does the committee feel comfortable with us taking that on, approaching the businesses and talking with them individually? Or is someone else wanting to do that?
I can start. I have no objection to you guys developing a list of ones that you don't feel like you've heard from and just go talk to them. I also welcome, have we done anything similar to, again, I always lean towards, don't give them any questions, just go in and
Have a
let them
conversation.
talk.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking a
Let the
little less
business owners
structured
tell
for
us.
them.
But if you think there are specific questions or specific data, have we done something like this before that they can kind of use as a guidepost when they're meeting?
Not since I've been here that I'm aware of.
I think that, oh, sorry,
Has
go
the
ahead.
Development Commission done anything like that?
I'm thinking,
No, and we need, as John alluded to, you have to look at both sides. You have your business owners, a lot of them are tenants, and then you have your real estate owners.
right.
So there's two,
It's almost double.
right, and the real estate owners are just as important,
100%.
if not more.
It's true, and we had a property owner, for example, for the hardware store. She's like, I own the property, I'm not the owner, and we talked about that at the event. And then I also called the number for lease on the Starbucks Plaza, and they said that he'd be happy to talk to the owner of those. So you're right, they're different things and incredibly important.
Yeah, so I'm happy to work with you to make sure that you're targeting or reaching out to the right folks.
Exactly, because we don't know who owns everything.
Right, and we can cobble together some of the stuff from the Development Commission, of who some of those owners are, our past contact with them, and see if that, what's changed, what hasn't.
Yeah.
And maybe Abby, you and I could sit down and talk through that a little bit. Just if there are any things that you've been hearing a lot from business owners or your perspective before we talk to them. Hey, John, if you have
Right.
time, but I know you're swamped.
But I do like the idea of it becomes more of a conversation and an interview, and just to see where people are at with what they need.
Go ahead. Do you smell something burning?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we on fire?
When we were walking over from the other building, it smells like something outside. but
Oh, okay.
Definitely there's
Yeah.
a hint of campfire in the air.
I just got it's a strong smell coming
A
right
little
from
wet,
this
or we have
direction.
some brush fire?
Well,
We got the right guy here.
we got a firefighter in the room.
Yeah.
I'll go.
And I do think businesses do have a lot to say. And some of them came up and said a lot of it. So we may not need too many questions.
Okay. So I don't think officially, you're okay with John and Meg working with Abby and to identify the businesses and just reaching out to them and meeting with them?
100%.
Okay.
In fact, it was good to hear that some of them may have attended, business owners and or landowners, the event, but I do believe it would be important to have their information segregated from the general group. So if they provided input there and you don't know, it would be more important to have it on a separate venue.
Yeah.
Okay. You're okay with that as well?
Yep, fine.
Okay.
That's good.
And I assume you two are okay with it since,
Sounds like it.
I got it.
We're good.
since we just told you you're
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yes, we're fine.
All right, so before we shift off of stakeholder input, we did include in tonight's packet the emails that we have received so far. And there were a few that have come in since we put the packet together. So we have those here around the table, but we'll make sure that we
Review those next meeting.
include them in the next package. And it seems to me, again, that as we continue to do the outreach over the next 30 days, we continue to push that the email address is available to people. And then we spend a session just going through those. We don't really need to kind of go through those tonight, right? It seems like it'd be more useful when we had them all, after
Yeah.
we've sort of, okay. Right. Everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So moving on to item 3B, Eric and I were tasked with taking a stab at drafting initial components. This is also included in our backup of what we would want a master plan to include. It's just a draft, just our initial thoughts. I think I can speak for both of us where we tried to be very specific again with the eye towards the end product of this process is a document or a series of documents that the responsible boards and committees can use. And so I think these were designed to be very, very specific. Again, I would suggest to the committee, unless there's a disagreement, because you guys are seeing it for the first time, that just take the time to look at it. Same thing with the public. There's no pride in authorship of that list. So if you're a member of the public and you have input on what you want that master plan to include, get us that information through the email address. And we'll continue to work through it. Does anybody wanted to discuss the draft list tonight in any detail?
I had a few thoughts.
Okay.
Just a glance at the information we got from the public sessions, but I think some sort of, I don't think it's addressed here, but some sort of bike, I don't know what we would call that, but that came up a lot. And green spaces within the town.
Okay.
And I think the same way that we have a historical preservation component, we should probably have a sustainability component as well, which can be more broad, but a thought.
Okay, so I wrote down bicycle, sustainability, what was the third one?
Green spaces
Green spaces.
within town.
Okay.
Have you started to work on a scope, or are you waiting till we get the data done to be able to start the scope?
This was our attempt to just to be the very beginning of the
The
scope.
bones, okay.
Yeah, that's why, again,
And
I think these will start to come together, that this list will be much more informed once you guys have synthesized what you heard. But again, without objection, in the meantime, what I will do is take the ones that are currently here before our next meeting and work in these three concepts by either adding new proposed components or tweaking the ones that are in here. So that we'll have another draft ready for us, if everybody's okay with that.
I had another thought, which is that I think you should, and I know we're not wordsmithing, but you might want to remove the strip of land next to Geisler's and Bank Street, because we don't have that kind of specificity anywhere else in terms of where we would put sidewalks or anything like that.
What number is that? one on here?
It's number 12
Okay.
in the master plan component.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that specifically because you guys have talked about that specific
Yeah.
property.
So that kind of is the ideation that'll come from it, I think.
Understood. All right. Marty, any comments on this draft that you want me to consider as I synthesize the next draft?
No, I think this is a start. I'll
Okay.
dive into it a little more for the next meeting.
I agree. You good? John?
One thing I would suggest, and it's not a deal breaker, but under qualifications, B, in addition to communities of similar size to Granby, if they have specific, I'm sorry,
Which number are you on?
It might be this
this part of it, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's the RFP. We haven't got to that yet.
one.
Never mind,
I took his packet.
I'm good.
Okay.
Carry on.
Eric?
Yes, I do have a question, clarification. What is the concern with the mentioning of a piece of property? on the
Yeah.
list?
So I guess it's just, you can keep it in there if you want, basically.
Well,
But
I don't
also,
have-
it's kind of like if I wrote, pedestrian walkway, close off Merchants Way for outdoor dining. I mean, that's getting into kind of a little bit ahead of where we are, I think.
Well, I understand the process you're following.
Yeah.
The domain process or whatever, but I do believe that work has been done identifying pieces of stuff that's okay to point that out.
Great.
Just fine.
And do we want to add more ideas then in this, like ideas of connectivity that
Well, I'm open to
sidewalks or?
suggestions on it.
Okay, but
I was trying to keep it broad so we can then work on it.
Yeah, but I think within an RFP process, since this is going to be attached to it, I don't think we should call out private properties at this point within. Abby, how do you what's a little protocol?
Yeah, so I think in general, so sorry to take a step back for a moment, but so what it started out with, there was a scope, like a master scope list put together when this committee was created. It was in conjunction with Planning and Zoning, Development Commission, Board of Selectmen.
Right.
And that was passed on to this group. And I looked at the proposed scope, and certainly this committee has the ability to change that. That's outlined in the charge. But when you look at the proposed scope, it almost seems like it's a little bit broader, and some of these can fall under that. So,
Right.
and in reviewing RFPs, I think it makes more sense to have the broad ask and then maybe examples of specific tasks under that, where these could plug into. So, for example, we have that was passed on to this committee, infrastructure assessment. So that could include, connectivity, pedestrian, sidewalk plan. So kind of start with like the broader and then specific examples of the actual documents that this group wants to come out of the study.
No,
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because as I was looking at this for the next meeting, I was thinking of trying to put them into categories. So, but you bring it to an even better point, going back to the original scope and trying to align where they are in the broader text, so.
So I would say this, I agree with, I know why you put that in there, because we don't want to lose sight of it. That's right. I understand that. I do agree that where we are, though, we should, less specific in these terms is for what we're trying to achieve, I think is right. And I also agree with, I didn't even attempt to do that, but it needs to be done. And so when Eric and I drafted this list, we did not bring it back to our scope, kind of on purpose, right? But it does ultimately, before we complete it, has to be tied back to the scope. And when we get there, I will be an advocate of, I think what you just said is it needs to be both. It needs to be the broader concepts. But if it doesn't have very specific
Right.
things, and we get
Right.
a master plan back that didn't have a sidewalk plan, then it is less useful, right?
Right.
And so we want the consultants to know both the concepts and the very specific. So I agree with what you're saying. And you don't, unless you want to, you don't have to do any work on that. The third of us on the committee who are responsible for developing this list, I think, can take that task.
Okay.
We can, Eric and I can go back and take the scope and put these in. I'm only thinking that's one step away from where we are. I think we finished this list, which is informed by their data. And then we take this list and go back and incorporate it back in there. To me, that just seems like the right approach for this section of what we're doing.
And then there'll be ideas from that data too that can plug in
Yeah, right.
what the public is saying.
Right. And I also, Marty's kind of convinced me of this a little bit too. If we get where we are talking about going, which the town funds, and we bring in a consultant to do an actual plan, they're going to go back through some of this stuff anyway. This is we're just trying to give them guardrails and the framework. This is not meant to be the end all. This is meant to be the starting point for them to do their job, right?
Yeah.
And then going back to the public and saying like,
Yeah.
did we hear you? Is this
More
what you want?
descriptive than prescriptive.
Exactly. All right. So just to repeat, make sure everybody's on the same page. Eric and I will work on revising the list that was in the backup tonight based on our thoughts. And with the knowledge that ultimately we're going to relate it back to the committee scope. Everybody cool with that? All right. All right, next on the agenda is the RFP. So Abby and Marty drafted an RFP. I've had zero chance to look at it. Was this part of our backup?
No.
When we build the backup, can we include it?
Yes.
Okay.
I did not have it ready in time.
Okay. So this is another one where I would say everybody take a few minutes, look at I think, I'm not sure if you guys were here when Abby said this, I think her intent was, this is sort of the boilerplate, got to have legal stuff. Don't get stressed out that it actually doesn't have any details regarding what the actual scope is, because that's what we're going to insert. Does that make sense? Does anybody want to spend any time on it tonight, or just,
Tracking back to my other comment.
Yep.
It doesn't, because it's going to fall out of my brain if I don't mention it.
okay,
For proposed content, B, it's interesting.
Oh, yeah, I have to fix that, thank you.
But no, I don't care about that.
No,
But I think it would be helpful for not only communities of the same size as Granby, but from New England as well. Because and again, I'm not picking on anybody, I'm not, making judgments, but if all their work is in Texas or Florida or something like that, is it generalizable to what we need? So it would be helpful if we have some, and again, it shouldn't be a limiter, it's, again, a descriptor.
Right.
oh, I agree with that. They should have done work in towns like Granby in the Northeast.
In the Northeast, yeah.
Because that would look entirely different than one in Nevada on the same. Yeah,
Phoenix.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. That's a good point. Always. You took those notes?
Yes, I
Okay.
got that.
All right. Any other very quick catch of the eye on this? So same thing to the public, I think we've been saying all along, we'll get this online, utilize the email system if you have any specific thoughts on the draft RFP. Committee, anything else on the RFP? All right.
Good.
All right, items for the next meeting. I think we just went through them. 3 subcommittees have their tasks. Right, anything in addition?
It is my intent to have the survey instrument to the members of the committee prior to the next meeting, and hopefully for some of the, not that any of them, some of the simpler elements from Saturday and tonight kind of coalesced into pockets. Because I think there's a couple that lend themselves to easier compilation than some of the ones that are, Meg's gonna have to work really hard on.
All right. Okay. This isn't necessarily for the next meeting, but just as I was sitting here, we're getting to the point now where we have enough documents. I don't know if there's a way on the website that when you click on our committee, you can go to a folder that says, there's not,
No, we don't currently have that set up.
I don't think so.
can we do that?
We could look at, so you want basically all the documents, like the draft RFP, the public comment to date, like all
Well,
that stuff, or?
so right now, I just invited folks to comment on the RFP, right? So if they could go on the website and just click the RFP
Yeah.
instead of trying to find it in the minutes.
Yeah, okay.
And then we should do this, at least tonight, we have the draft components of the master plan.
Yeah,
So if those 2 things at least
Okay.
could be on there, then we can kind of just add stuff as we go. Does that make sense?
talk to Catherine tomorrow.
All right. She's not paying you. No, you just got to sign a bunch of stuff. Put your head back down.
John Lambert could probably help as well.
Yeah,
All right, yeah, well,
hopefully that's not too big a deal. That doesn't seem like it
no.
is. Okay. All right, any other specific items for the next meeting? I know, Meg, you emailed, and then my internet went out, so you were talking about maybe trying to organize the committee to do a walk that we were going to do earlier when it was too cold and
Yeah.
nobody wanted to go. Do you want to talk about that tonight, or you want to wait till the next meeting?
I think it would give us kind of a shared context if we walked the center together.
When do we want, does Eric's going to not want to do that, but we'll make him do it.
Why?
Why? Have you spent any time with Myers?
I'll bring my bag.
2 words, planning and zoning. I know everything there is to know about this. But sure, if somebody buys me an ice cream.
You know it in detail?
Well, we've got some lovely donations, grassroots.
56, I've been here.
Yeah, so
Have you been through the chain link fence? I'm joking. I'll take you.
So this is what I would like to do if you guys support this. Abby would kick me under the table if her leg was locked. I would like to just talk to the town attorney and see if there's a way we can do that without it being an official meeting. If there's no agenda and no action taking, we're 5 citizens walking the center. See, Oates is saying you can't do it. So
I love the optimism. I think it violates.
It's quorum.
Yeah.
What about
You've got it.
inviting-
You have a quorum.
What about inviting people?
If
Walk
we
with
were
us.
25 feet apart from each other.
What if we make it public and people just walk with us?
We just noticed, it's,
okay, so
you just noticed the meeting for the date that we decided to do it.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with it.
It's probably easier in the long run and
I'm fine with that.
What if you walk backwards?
we'll all wear,
Is that you volunteering?
we'll all wear a
It
costume.
is better to do it, to err on the side of caution. So we can do it, we can notice it very specifically that we're just doing the walk. That's the only item on the agenda. And the public can join us if they want to join us. We'll give them a starting point and a time that we're going to start. And I will buy Myers an ice cream.
Even if it's 12 below.
1 or 2
Yeah.
scoops.
What?
1 or 2 scoops.
You can't eat 2 scoops.
It's bad for my heart.
So,
Give him 3 scoops.
all right, well, we're deep enough into it now, and everybody has their phones. Maybe we should try to pick it up. Eric, you got robotics.
Ends the week after Easter for us.
Well, this weekend was Easter.
That's right, so then that following week is New England, so then we're arguably done.
Okay, so later in April,
Yes, correct, this should be over.
like a Saturday morning maybe. You're not required. You're welcome to come with your kids, but you would not be required. You would not be required because we're not going to take any minutes. We're not taking any action.
Actually, not even allowed to talk.
But we can pick up trash.
We can pick up trash. Well, let's
That's what
just
I make my family do on Saturdays.
let's get our calendars out. So we're settling on a Saturday later in April. So
I promise it'll be fun. Everyone likes walking.
13th is opening day at McDonough. I can work around that. So it's the 13th to 20th. Wait, what just happened?
20th and 27th, 13th, 20th, and 27th.
20th looks good for me. Marty,
Yeah, I think I'm good for the 20th.
what are we thinking, 10 a.m.?
Yeah. That way the ice cream's open.
That's not too early for ice cream, is it?
Never too early for ice cream.
I can O in the ice cream. Can that work for you?
Yeah.
10 a.m. on the 20th?
How would you guys feel about starting the walk at my house as an adjacent neighborhood, not as a,
So just so you know, so when the agenda goes out, I need a
Oh, yeah,
specific
that's true.
address, so it would be your home address,
yeah,
which,
that's kind of awkward. What about the middle school? Or the high school, since kids are walking?
Probably
there?
on the town green, since we own it.
Town Greens is great.
Right. We can start at the town green, walk in
Perfect.
whatever direction you want. All right.
You can start here.
Tom, are you available?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do not have a conflict till the 4th.
Eric?
So right now, I do.
All right, we're putting it in our calendars for 10
Under
a.m.
ice cream.
on the 20th. All right. All right, any other action items? Okay, we'll go to public session. There's nobody here. I don't have my glasses, so on Zoom. It's know. Anybody on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay. So just a reminder, we'll follow the same rules we do. We have 5 minutes. We'll set a timer. And Michael, go ahead.
I just want to thank everyone on this commission for doing what they're doing. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. I was blown away by what this committee put together Saturday. I attended that event. And, you know, given the conversations I had with other residents at the event, I'm not alone in that opinion. I really don't envy you the task of trying to synthesize the input collected. But all of you really deserve a lot of credit in the community outreach department. That was really the way you put that together. My only criticism, if you can call it that, or concern, given what I saw at the event, was some of the focus on recreation or playscape elements in the town center. I think Salmon Brook is the central location for those types of activities, and I feel that the town center should be centered, as Abby said, on businesses that are going to develop given the increase in walking traffic from like Station 280 and other developments around town, and green space, livability, walkability. You know, a place where you can relax and enjoy the products and services available within the town center space itself. Other than that, you know, to keep doing what you're doing. I think you guys are really off to a fantastic start. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. And I will repeat that Meg deserves the bulk of the credit for that format. I told her she was crazy, it wouldn't work, so she proved me wrong.
It worked 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else on Zoom? Catherine? All right, hearing none, we will close the public hearing, or public session, I'm sorry. If there's no other business, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
No, it's okay.
Were you trying to second that motion?
No, I was gonna offer a closing comment, because we had, in addition to the amazing amount of public participation from Sunday to today, we also had tremendous engagement from various businesses, restaurants, bakeries, and farms in town. So Geisler's New England Pizza, Grassroots, Drago, Maple View Farm, Lost Acres Orchard, Clark Farms at Bush Hill Orchard, and Sweet Pea Farms all provided the tasty snacks. And I apologize if I got anybody that's off the top of my head, but all did provided wonderful treats to give people something to nibble on while they did the exercise. So much appreciated.
And they were all
to each of them.
awesome to work with.
Phenomenal. So really appreciate it. Thank you, Pete.
Who did the apple cider donuts?
Clark.
Clark Farms at Bush Hill Orchard.
Yeah. Good
I
thing
was
you
the one that put the green I like sticker on the apple cider.
Several people followed suit.
All right.
I have thank you notes that I want to give this. I left them in the senior center. I can run, grab them, and bring them back. Or you guys can
We'll
come to
head
the
over there
senior
in a
center.
second. We haven't voted on the motion to adjourn yet. Thank you, John, for doing that. And I would just add,
How do
okay,
we want to respond to these letters and discuss them? Not tonight, but in general.
the
The letters that come through the committee email.
Yeah, no, I think again, that we'll set aside a specific item on the agenda to go through all of them once we have all.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right,
Because we can plug the email next.
yeah. Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. All right, good work. Thank you, guys. We are adjourned.